Trae AI, this free AI coding agent with MCPs is absolutely insane. So what if I told you there's a completely free coding assistant that now gives you access for free to GPT 4.1, 3.7 from Claude and Gemini 2.5 Pro without any limits from what I can see. Additionally, this is not like some sort of limited trial. You can actually search the web whilst coding, create custom agents, and even link your own MCP servers without paying a penny. Trae just dropped a huge update that's basically changed everything in 3 different ways. Number 1, they're offering premium models for 0 cost. You don't need to subscribe, you don't need to put in your credit card or anything like that. Number 2, they've introduced customizable coding agents and you can download this locally. So for example, here we can set up and build with our own custom AI agents specialized with prompts for different tasks. And thirdly, you can now search the web directly whilst coding and adding your own URLs as context. This update basically lets you link your own MCP service to each agent. I'll show you the marketplace in a second. They've cleaned up the interface. It looks a lot cleaner. And also these premium features without a single pricing page. Plus, you can build locally and build out your own projects with it. Let's get straight into this. All right, so first thing you're going to do is go to Trae AI. That's Trae.ai. Download that. Once you've done this, then you're going to go over to Trae, and inside here, this is actually from the makers of TikTok, ByteDance. You can start coding. Now, if you look over here, what you'll see is several different options. So you've got these built-in AI agents. You can build stuff with it directly. And what you'll see here as well is inside the builder, it's got an inbuilt web search feature. So you can preview and you can build, and you've got the terminal and the file system. On top of that, if you actually go to Builder with MCP and we click on that, we go to Add. So it says MCP servers need to be added. If we go to Add, we can add our own MCP agents inside here. Right? So for example, we could link this to Slack and connect any agents that we have locally to Slack. We could also set up a memory, right? So we can have like knowledge features inside there. We could also use Brave Search, which basically connects to the internet. There's even stuff like, for example, Google Drive. And you can flick through the marketplace, figure out exactly what you want to set up, etc., and then go from there. It also has Firebase and stuff like that. So, for example, if you want to set up, I don't know, Google Drive, then you just click the plus sign, fill in the details, add the MCP server, and you're good to go. Now, if you're not sure, okay, how to set that up, basically, you can go to the GitHub if you click this link inside the Add MCP server section. So it says here, please copy the configuration JSON. You click that. You grab it, boom shakalaka, you can easily install whatever you want to. Now, if you want to, so let's say, for example, you want to install something like Context 7 MCP, which is pretty amazing MCP for coding, right? It makes your coding a lot better because it's got all the latest up-to-date documentation, and most AI APIs are not built with that manually. So, for example, you can click on Configure Manually over here, then you would paste in the MCP server details here. So we're just going to press Control-A, delete everything, paste in the code from the Context 7 MCP server on GitHub, hit confirm, add that in, and now we've got Context 7 ready to go. So if we want to build with this, what we can do is build with @MCP, and we can just say, okay, check Context 7, build. So we could say, for example, create a basic Next.js project with @router, use Context 7, plug that into Trae AI, and we can start building with this, right, using that MCP. Super easy, really nice setup, and good to go on that. If you ever want, you can set up multiple MCP servers. And when you're setting up MCPs, these are basically like tools or add-ons. So you can give your AI agent to make them like 10 times more powerful than they already are. Additionally, what you can also do here is you can create your own AI agents. This is a new feature inside Trae as well. So you can add an agent name. You can allow it to have certain tools like you can see here. So we can allow it to have Context 7. We can set up the prompt in terms of what it does, how it works, etc. And then we can create that from there. You can also upload documents here, and additionally you can set up rules. So for example, you can have rules on how it codes, what it builds with, etc. These can be project rules as well. And then finally we have the model section. Now another cool thing about this is we actually have, as you can see right here, free access to all of these different models. So for example, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is paid, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, you can easily rack up a lot of costs with that. Gemini 2.5 Pro, GPT 4.1, GPT 4, etc. You can code with all of them inside here. So it's a lot more. So if you see me using like Visual Studio Code, for example, this is way better because you get access to all these APIs, but you're not paying anything, right? And you can easily rack up the costs. I know a lot of people comment on my YouTube videos about that. You can also add your own API here. So what you could do is you could choose, for example, OpenRouter, and OpenRouter also has tons of different models that you can use for free. right? So for example, if we click on get API key here, we're going to open up Open Router. We can now grab a key, create a key, copy that key, doesn't cost us a penny, go back to Trae, set up the API key over here, and then from here we can now select which models we want, right? Now you can see here, for example, you've got Gemini 2.5 Pro, experimental, and you've got all of these different models as well that you can code with. You can also just add a custom model ID, and to get that, you just go to the model section inside Open Router, grab the one you want, and then plug it in. So for example, we've just added Google Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview. How do we do that? We just copy the name from here, plug it back into Trae, use Open Router, boom shakalaka, we'll live in the dream, right? And that's how easy it is to start coding and plugging in your own custom AIs inside here. There's so much stuff you can do inside here as well. So if we close this, you can also see that we have root code and we have client installed inside Trae, which is pretty cool. And then if we go back to the chat over here, by the way, if you want to get back to the chat, just click on Trae at the top there, and then you can start building again, right? You can also allow yourself to auto run commands and MCP tools so that you don't have to keep clicking approve each time you're building. And then if you want to start a new project, what we can do is we can click on, for example, open folder, open that up, trust folder and continue, trust the authors, and then open this up. One thing you have to bear in mind here is that if you're using this for free, obviously you have to be careful that your code might be used, or whatever you build inside here might be used as some sort of test or data gathering, right, for using this tool. So just be careful of that. I'm not an AI privacy expert. If you're building something commercial, you might have to be careful. So now if we go back to AI, we've got this ready to go. We can start coding. We can use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. We've got our agent ready to go. And then, for example, we can start building. So for example, what I'm actually going to do is, for example, I can just build like a thumbnail generator tool using the latest API from GPT in the image generation method, right? So let me show you what I mean. So for example, this tool right here, we could easily build using Trae AI. Let me show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the prompts and the documentation on GPT's new Image 1 API. If you want a full video breakdown on how to do this, just check out the AI Profit Boardroom and the tutorial videos right there, along with all the prompts. Then we're going to plug this into Trae, like you can see. We're good to go on that. We're going to hit plus, hit send, and start building out. And what we're trying to build is like a custom SaaS tool where we can generate YouTube thumbnails. All the user has to do is like plug in the API key, plug in a prompt, and then they can generate thumbnails using their API key and the custom tool we built with AI. So now it's going to start building this. I'm going to click on this just to save time in the future so we can auto run stuff. We'll click on run there. And you can see it's actually using Context 7 and the MCP to get the library documentation and everything else. I'm also just going to say build it out in HTML just so that we can create that website, make it easy for ourselves. And now it's generating the code. Now, if you ever get stuck or you hit any sort of limits or anything like that, if that is the case, I haven't come across them yet. But if you do hit any limits, you can just switch between APIs and then start coding from there. So that's pretty simple as well. Now you can see it's coded out the HTML. We can accept the changes. And if you want to test this out, we can reveal and Finder, open this up, and you can see we've got the basics of a thumbnail generator ready to go. And we just coded it for free, right? We can select the image size, we've got the image quality, we can plug in the API key, and then we can generate the thumbnail. If you get any error, which is usually the case when you're building out these tools, no problem. So let's test this out. For example, here we could get an error when we're generating the outputs. So I've put in my API key, we've put in the thumbnail description, the image size, and the image quality. And let's see what we get back in a second. And then, for example, here you can see that it's actually using DALL-E 3. It's not using Image 1. So we're going to go back inside here and we'll say, make sure you use GPT Image 1 API, not DALL-E 3. We'll get the documentation for that. But yeah, you can see how easy it is to just build out a new tool using this process. What I'd recommend doing is you spend a bit of time on the UI, improving that, etc. But you can see how easy it is to build and code without having any coding experience. And it's all completely free. You're not paying for Trae, you're not paying for the API, you're not paying to host it, etc. Let's now switch to Gemini 2.5 Pro. And we're going to say, okay, build a self. And for this, I'm just going to grab a prompt from the AI Profit Boardroom in the master list. And we'll grab this one for creating games. We're going to say now, can you create a simple 3D car simulator with 3JS and single HTML, add clouds, mountain, etc. We'll use Gemini 2.5 Pro to build this out. You can see that's now creating the HTML. So it's working on car_simulator HTML. And you could use Trae for anything that you would normally use a coding agent for. But the beauty of this is it's very easy to add MCPs, very simple to set up. It's completely free. It's constantly being updated. I actually really like the UI now. I feel like it's a lot more cleaner than it used to be. And it's super simple to just get started on it. Easier than Visual Studio Code or something like that. So we'll hit accept all now. Now it's going to allow us to preview this in our browser. So we'll check what it looks like in a second. Then it's got a preview button here. So we can click on that. And yeah, really easy and simple to just build stuff with this tool. The changelog here, you can see all the new releases, what's been added, etc. All the changes if you want to check the full documentation. But I've shown you pretty much all the functionality. You can get it for free at Trae AI. We actually have multiple different tutorials inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to learn how to use it properly, along with all of our best prompts. Link in the comments and description. This community is all about just making more money and saving time with AI. It comes with all of our best courses, coaching, etc., weekly Q&As, and an amazing community where you can just ask any questions if you get stuck along the way. Plus, the prices are going up this month, so make sure you sign up now before you miss out. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. On this free link building acceleration session, you're going to get a free SEO game plan that's custom tailored to get you more leads, traffic, and sales from SEO, along with answering any questions that you have along on the call. So feel free to get that link in the comments and description, and appreciate you watching. See you on the next one. Bye bye.